Good morning and welcome to the program. I'm your host, George Rideout, and as always, working the soundboard is Lynn. And we got a kind of a special show for you here today. As a lot of our listeners know, we had our Pledge-orama, geez, how long ago now? About a month. Yeah, September? God, I was going to say like a month ago. It's been like, I don't do time well. I never have. But we had a number of winners, and one of those winners was one of our favorite guests, Ray Buteau, and he won the guest host slot. And so we have Ray with us today. Ray is the author of 2 books, No Longer Lonely and Those in Power. Welcome to the program, Ray.
Thank you very much, George.
It's awesome to have you on. Now, one of the things for that special present, I guess, gift or show of support is to have a listener kind of come on the program with a guest of their choice, and because it kind of you never know what that's going to bring, right? So it's kind of interesting, and it also gives the listener an opportunity to be a co-host on the program and to ask questions and to try and talk to someone that they're interested in and have fun with that and share. So Ray has come up with an amazing guest, and we've heard of Alex over the years from a mutual friend, and timing, of course, is what it is. And so our other in-studio guest is, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but I'll give it a shot, Alex Chaligne.
Exactly.
Am I close?
Yes, you're good.
All right. Man, I did it good the first time.
He's kind.
Yeah, he's kind. And Alex is the head instructor at Aromansse here in the Peg. And Alex has a pretty amazing background. He's got like 27 years experience in soul and body work. He's done some Buddhist meditation with Sogyal. I probably just totally butchered that too. Rinpoche, who is the author of the Tibetan Book of Living and the Dead, or Living and Dying. He studied aromatherapy and Egyptian massage through aromatherapy fundamental research laboratories. He then went into emotional homeopathy with the training of Dr. Bach flower remedies, which I definitely want to ask him about. And then he broadened his meditations through the Academy of Parapsychology in Montpellier, France. Now, that sounds interesting to you. We could definitely want to talk about that. Alex arrived here in Canada in 1999 to kind of expand his awareness in meditation, and kind of brought him to the Monroe Institute out of Virginia in the United States. And some of you may know a little bit of that. We've had a number of people on about the Monroe Institute. And there he became a Hemi-Sync instructor. Alex is a lifelong student, and today he's learning about orchids, soul homeopathy, which again we're going to talk about. And one of the things that Alex is doing right now, which I think is really cool, and to me, one of the types of heroes, because I've worked in extended care in my youth, and I know how difficult and hard it can be working in palliative care. And those are heroes that do that, because that can be very emotionally, spiritually, and it can be quite draining, and but at the same time, amazingly rewarding. So we're happy to have Alex here with us. Welcome to the program, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Okay, now first I want to ask Ray, when you won the special co-host, and I know we talked about it, and I was like, okay, no, but whoever, if we can get who you want, we'll definitely make the effort. So I'm wondering what it was that brought you to Alex, and why you chose to get in touch with Alex.
You may remember that after my experience at the Monroe Institute in October of 2014, I had the opportunity of sharing once or twice with you about those experiences. And you were saying that we should really do a program on this. I would really like to interview you. We're thinking of different ways of doing it outside or in all kinds of things. But the opportunity just never presented itself. And then when I won this gift, I thought, oh, great, I can kill two birds with one stone here. I can get somebody who actually can explain better than me what takes place at the Monroe Institute. And if there's any technical explanation on anything, he's going to be able to do it much better than me.
Yeah.
And somebody who's experienced it as I have. And so I thought, hey, if he agrees to this, it'll be great. So I, too, thank you, Alex, for accepting the invitation from both of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think you're right. It really is to have somebody with Alex's kind of expertise on this thing, and then to share your experiences through it. It's a wonderful experience and time to do it. So now maybe, Alex, give us a little bit of background on yourself. What got you into all this parapsychology and meditation and all these experiences?
Well, I think originally I don't think I tried to go into it. I thought that everybody was like that. Everybody had like a connection somehow. And so this morning in my shower, I was actually thinking how long it's been now, and actually it's exactly 40 years.
Wow.
At the age of 6, so now in my age. So 6, I had some visitation of energy beings who started to talk about what I was going to be doing in my life, and so it started like that. But I didn't thought it was special, or for me it was just, hey, hi, and it was just normal.
Part of life.
Yeah, part of life. I understood later in my life that actually not everybody had those type of experiences. It was quite a shock, actually. And so I will say it was always with me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's interesting. We had a guest on years ago. We've had him on close to half a dozen times over the years. He was a NASA scientist, and he had a lot of lucid dreams when he was a youngster, around that same age, 5, 6, maybe even younger. And his mother always thought she was like ultra religious, but I think in a fundamental way. And it was telling him, that's like evil and demons and devils and all this kind of stuff. And so he kind of, shifted out of it. But after working in NASA for like 25, 27 years, he worked on a space station, the shuttle, all kinds of different things. He kind of went back into it, and he wrote this amazing little book called Soul Traveler. But he kind of said the same thing, where it was these types of experiences that happened. He was very young, thought it was, very common and similar for everybody, but learned later that it's not so common. Mm-hmm. And then kind of went back to it again. So for you, were you like, you were always in it? It wasn't like
So when I discovered that actually it was that not everybody had that, and I discovered that a couple of years later, I wanted to become normal, to try to be just like a normal kid.
Yeah.
But it was really difficult because I had like a lot of psychic experiences, and I don't like them to call gift. But it was like lots of experiences, and I just wanted them to stop.
Yeah.
And we can say, pray them away, and it did work for some period of time, and then I felt that something was missing. So later, when I was around 13, 14, so I really wanted them back, and so it's where really we can say my journey as a normal person trying to get in touch with their own self and their spiritual self really started.
Yeah, cool. I mean, for me, I was about 12 when my first mentor kind of came into my life, and started to show that spiritual side, and much, I think, like both of you, I kind of had interesting experiences when I was a kid. Used to have a lot of animal experiences, and they'd find me in a burnt out stump with a raccoon family that wouldn't let anyone else in. But I'm in there with the cubs and the babies, and the raccoons wouldn't let anyone else in. I used to have a bobcat as a pet for a number of years. Tom, I remember whenever I'd get in trouble, and Tom was bigger than me at the time, I would hold on to Tom, and my parents would try and whack me or something, or put me in timeout or whatever when I was a kid, and all I'd have to do is hold on to Tom, and he wouldn't let them near me. So it was hilarious, eh? But I do find it interesting on walking on a spiritual path, how prevalent it is that these kind of, for lack of better definition, I'll just call them peak experiences. These peak experiences happen throughout through our lives from a very early stage. So what brought you to the Rinpoche?
This is a good question.
And you were in France, right? Was that
yes, I was in France. So I started my life in we can say in Bordeaux, and I was always talking. People were coming to me naturally, and I was often answering or giving some little lecture. I was 17 on Buddhism, but I had no clue at that time that it's what I was doing. I was just talking from my heart. And it was just natural. And one day there was a woman who brought me to her house, and she said, you explained to me in a couple of sessions more than, and she opened the door and there was a room full of book of Buddhism. And she said, what you are talking, it's about Buddhism. And I said, oh, okay, well. She said, you need to maybe look towards that. So I did some homework a little bit, and I ended up in the south, Montpellier, and so then it's where I found my first teacher really, and I started to learn more. Now, somehow, I think we all have unconsciously somehow a path, and so the depth at that time into the teaching of Buddhism was attracting me a lot. Even it was quite interesting. So the book is really split into two. You have the first one that is about living, and after that you have death. And when I arrived to death, the death part, I couldn't start reading, and it was it was not the time, but at the same time it was attracting me. It was really important. And it's actually in that time that I had my first palliative care help, that I started to give help to people who were dying.
Wow. At that age. And interesting, how old was I? I was in high school. I graduated when I was 17. I did it for 2 years. So I would have been 16 myself when I started working in the extended care ward in the hospital, and close to where I lived at the time in Alberta. Interest. So you were sharing the works of Buddhism without knowing that it was
without
Buddhism.
knowing. Yeah.
Cool. So would you call yourself an old soul then?
Yes, I think I'm an old soul. Yeah.
That's one of the other things that is very across the board for people that are that are kind of walking that life. I traveled with this old elder medicine person for a lot of years, Billy Meza, who's since passed on. One of his favorite sayings was, "Goes with the territory." Goes with the territory. Billy, why this? Goes with the territory. Yeah, but why is it so lonely sometimes? Goes with the territory. Yeah, but why is it so different? Goes with the territory. It was always one of his mantras. Goes with the territory. But yeah, I do think it's like you said, there's certain guideposts along the way, and I don't know if we, some people talk about we make this contract before we come here. I don't know about that, because I do believe in free thought and free spirit. So I'm not sure about that, but I do think that there are guideposts along the way. And I think too that's kind of what deja vu is. Deja vu is kind of like that, a sign that you're at the right place at the right time, kind of thing. But so from the Rinpoche, then where did you go after the Rinpoche?
So after that, I was already having my own little studio where I was doing cards for people and things like that. I went to the Academy of Parapsychology in Montpellier, where I started to learn. So there we did learn like not in deep, but a lot of different philosophy and religion. And actually it was really a gift, because even today I really believe that there is not one way. There is so many ways.
Yeah.
And I will even say more. I believe that it's important to know a little bit of every way, because it's like a big puzzle with keys or doors that are locked with keys, and you need to go through a little bit of everything to get the key to open each door, and then you can have the real picture.
That's a good point. Yeah, because it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And you get little pieces from everywhere. Yeah. I've always thought, or wondered, do you find, because living in Europe and Canada, that how would I phrase that the collective spirituality is different in Europe than it is in Canada, or is it similar?
Oh, it's totally different. And actually, a lot of people might be surprised of what I'm going to say, but it's in Canada, it's a lot more, I will not say advanced, but a lot more free, it's different. So in Europe, it's the old way of thinking, and even spirituality, it's more like not witchcraft, but it's more like really about spirits, about really medium, about like things like that. Pagan, more than really. Even like if you go to Buddhism or all those things, like the energy is a little bit like you can feel an ancient, I would say, but not automatically in a positive way, because here I arrived here and it's like, wow, like it's like free, and so you can be more in contact with yourself and your true self. Then there you have all those layers that you need to go through to be able to start to see a little bit of, Yeah,
and I wonder too if it's like the density. Like in Canada, it's so open, right, because it's so huge. But then France, I know it's fairly big for Europe, but the density of people. There
is the people, but there was also the energy of the building. When you enter in a building here, it's like, well, it's fairly new. Even if your house is 100 years is old, it's like fairly new. You arrive there, and so you can feel all the energy. Even if you're not energy sensitive, you can feel it. There is lots that went through.
Yeah, I like that feeling. Even now, I still get it. I lived for a couple of years in Amsterdam when I graduated high school. And even now, I'll still get like a smell or something. I'll see a postcard or picture or something, or something on TV or something that takes me back to that place. And I get that sense of feeling of how it felt and the smells, and it's totally different. Mm-hmm. It's a totally different feel.
Oh yeah,
it's very interesting. Yeah. And that's why I've always been interested in the difference between the collective spirituality. Because at the time when I was there, I was like, I just turned 18, so I was quite young. But over the years, I'm like, geez, it has to be different, because it's a whole different. We may not have the old buildings that do give off a certain energetic, feeling and atmosphere, but we have a kind of a different, when you bring in like the First Nations people and the natives, it's as older, but at least but it's a different, it's not so much in the buildings, it's more in other areas, I guess you can say. So, and then after that, now this is kind of going to be our main focus, or I don't know main, but a grand focus is on the Monroe Institute. And so after the Academy of Parapsychology, you then came to Canada in 1999.
Yes, and the way it happened is that my partner at the time, so both his parents died in a car accident. and he was quite young, and he was not religious, but he was extremely affected. He was like in his 20s, early 20s, and it was really difficult, and he was really, really close to his parents, and he really wanted to connect with their spirit somehow. So he started to read lots of books, and so we had tons of them in France for sure, about how to connect with spirits and ghosts and all those things. And I don't remember the name of the book or the monk, but there was like a priest, a Catholic priest, I believe, that wrote a book on how to connect with spirits. And in it, he was talking about the Monroe Institute. And I said, sounds really interesting. So this is where it was, probably in 97, 98. And so we moved to Vancouver, and as soon as I arrived, I said, okay, let's go to meet the Monroe Institute. Things that I did.
Mm-hmm. And then you met. I had a friend. She was a psychology professor at the college I went to in BC, and she went on a sabbatical one summer and went down to Virginia, and that would have been mid-'80s to late 80s. And just at the time when what was his name? McGonagall came through with the CIA, and she was really freaked out because she learned later that they were recording, without their knowledge, some of their experiences.
Yes.
At Monroe. And so she's, even to this day, like, I'm not going to mention her name, because even at this day, she's like, don't say anything about me. I don't want him to know where I live. I don't want him to know, because she kind of freaked out. But she loved it. And she went through the Gateway program, and then became an instructor for a short time. She would go back periodically and stay there for 2-3 months and go through with people. And she had some pretty cool stories, and that's when we were talking off the air a bit, and that's when she gave me the Focus 15 and Focus 21. And at that time, I think Focus 21 was the highest free flow, and then now it's. And I remember she told a story, and we'll go to break, and then when we come back, we'll get more into the Monroe Institute in more detail. She told a story that in one of her journeys, she went to. She thought it was Focus 31 or 36, something like that, somewhere in the 30s. And she said she came back. She came out and she went to Robert Monroe and said, I just went to Focus. I'll just say Focus 31. It could be more, but I went to Focus, and he was like, "No way, you can't." It was like, I think at the time Focus 28 or something like that was the highest at the time. He said, "No, you can't go past the God part." And she's like, "No, I went to Focus. I'm 31." And he's like, "No way, you can't." Anyway, now it's up to. Geez, I don't even know, 50s or 60s or something. 40s.
Well, right now we go even past that. There is some experiences, and so they don't really give you the exact focus that they try to use, but it's something like 102 or something.
Wow.
Like that. Yeah.
So do they still have the free flows, like Focus 21 and 15? And
right now the highest that you get when you go to a program is Focus 42.
Wow.
At the Monroe Institute, you go beyond that, but so they give you Focus 42 when you go.
Right.
She had a tough time coming back.
Yeah, that's what she said. Yeah, she had a tough time coming. She didn't want to come back.
Yeah.
One of the, what'd you call it? One of the main parts, it seems, of your journey is, a lot of it is related to healing of some type or another, whether it's healing spirit or physical or whatever, which I think is cool. Welcome back to the program. You're listening to Sacred Space here on CJUM 101.5 FM out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. We're sitting here this morning in studio with author Ray Buteau, who won our co-host and Pick a Guest contest. And our guest, thanks to Ray, is Alex Chaligne.
Right.
Did I get it? I think Alex has been really kind to me. But I think that one of the things that Ray spoke on earlier was his experience at the Monroe Institute, and then Alex having worked with them, and you called it something that I'd never heard of before, and that was a how did you call it? A professional
Yes.
member
Yes.
of the Monroe Institute.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
So, well, at that time I didn't know, but so like I was saying, so when I started the Monroe Institute, so from Vancouver, I didn't speak a word of English when I arrived from France, so I was really interested to go to the Monroe Institute, but there was the barrier language. So I found the Monroe Institute like a trainer in Montreal. So I went in Montreal, and I was extremely lucky because that week our teacher was Laurie Monroe.
Uh-huh.
So everything was translated, of course, but so she was my teacher for a week, and this was really an amazing gift. And it's where I did quickly understood that if I wanted to go, I was so thirsty of learning everything that I had to go and quickly learn in Virginia, and so in English. So when I arrived there, so
how long after the Montreal?
Oh, really quickly, like probably 2 months later, I went directly to Virginia. It was really an incentive for me to speak English.
I was going to say, like, holy crap, man.
And so I went there, and so it's where I took the second program that is called Guideline, and then I met with a lot of people, and I was then. In Vancouver, I opened like a little store where I became like an Hemi-Sync. I could sell Hemi-Sync, and at that time, so Hemi-Sync and the Monroe Institute was just really one company. We'll say it was two, but on the same roof. And so I understood all the corners of the Monroe Institute. So you have like the people who are teaching at the Monroe Institute. You have the people who are teaching outside the Monroe Institute that are called outreach trainers. And then you have the professional division. So the professional division originally were the ones who were doing some research, a lot of research for the Monroe Institute. And it's still the case. It did a little bit slip for just after Robert Monroe died, but so recently he really came back really strongly. Every year, so there is like still at the Monroe Institute a big convention, we'll say, for the professional division, where everybody, so during the year, will have like their own research. And so I became like quickly a professional member because I was really interested in palliative care. So it's where I took the work of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and Robert Monroe and Charles Tart, and I brought that to Winnipeg in Riverview, and I started my own research on death and dying.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, you can't get any higher than that when it comes to that area. I mean, she's the top of the ladder there. Wow, that's pretty cool. And I guess for your English, it was just because you were totally immersed.
Oh yeah,
that you had no.
In Vancouver, for sure, there was no really French-speaking people.
Yeah,
so you had to learn quickly.
Now, when you first went to Virginia, what year roughly was that?
I will say maybe 1990.
Wow. Okay, so that was a while ago. Wow. Now, that brings us to Ray here. I've been waiting to hear. Ray has been pretty What would be the word? Pretty quiet about. Well, not just this morning, but pretty quiet about his whole mineral. I've been trying to like dredge it out of him, but it's been kind of like pulling teeth about his mineral experience. He's like, no, we got to do a show on it. We got to have more time on it. We got to. No, I can't. So I'm now pretty much going to turn it over to Ray and say, okay, tell us your experience and share it with Alex and ask him what you need to ask him.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Alex. I think that for me, it gives, having you present all that you've done, it gives a validation of who you are and why you can do what you're doing here in this city. People know of the Monroe Institute. They hear of the people who are there. But when they hear that can be offered here, the first thing they're going to ask is, who is he? What experience has he? And who is he to do this? You've really articulated this very, very well.
But actually, I think it's great. It's the way our society works. But I think I told you at some point, I think it's extremely sad because even when I started, I was really young and I was thinking, when we'll be able to teach really officially? Do I need to wait that I'm 40? And today I look at young people like 20 who have like amazing power of remembering and teaching, and they cannot teach because they didn't have went through like this school or that school. And so yes, I'm happy today that I can, but that there is a lot of young people, and sometimes even your son or your daughter, who could really teach you a lot if you let them.
But don't have the check mark beside the box by their name as whatever. Now, sorry, but the thing that kind of hit me because sometimes in Canada we can be pretty conservative about this type, especially when it comes to the spiritual realm. I'll just say it. Did you ever get in trouble from the Monroe Institute for teaching, or like if you're not like a quote professional member, can you and you're out there and you're selling the tapes and you're helping people and giving workshops and lectures and stuff? Did they ever go cease and desist?
Well, I'm not sure if they ever did that into some people, but in my case, I'm a professional member from the Monroe Institute, so it allows me to teach.
Right.
And I'm also like an official store, like as the company like Hemi-Sync, so I am allowed to, and they are really happy, to sell their products.
Yeah. Now, and I want to make sure that people understand what Hemi-Sync is. So what exactly is Hemi-Sync? And like I know it works with the brain waves and stuff with the brain.
It stands for Hemi-Sync synchronization. So we have two hemispheres. So it's about sound that will balance your right and left hemisphere. The left hemisphere is about thinking, calculating, and the right hemisphere is about more imagination and creativity. So in our daily life, in our society, we use a lot more, to not say often just only, the left brain. And so to access not just in spirituality, but in your learning, as we are at Hemi-Sync, we have like sound to learn faster or to do not only like spiritual things.
Yeah, quit smoking, whatever.
Yes, so you need it's a lot more effective if you use both of your hemispheres.
Yeah, and like I remember when I did the Focus 21, and I don't I never done any kind of research or anything like that, but for me, it became a real healing avenue, or that it was really good for healing. Is that have you had any kind of experience with Focus as being that?
Well, so as soon as you start to do some work, it will happen. The healing will happen. Now people need to understand. So yes, we are using numbers. It was easier to define when we were talking. So the numbers are from 1 to 49, and so they are divided in 3 locals that we call local 1, 2, 3. 1 would be here this physical existence. 2 would be the between the death part, and 3 would be the advanced non-spiritual, advanced spiritual life. And so 1 to 21, your brain goes there all the time. We are not giving you a magic sound or a place that your brain is going to discover. Your brains go 1 to 21 by cycle of 90 minutes at night all the time. And so in the medical system, it's called stage sleep. But so you go like from 1 to 21 all the time. Now, what we do at with Hemi-Sync, or like with 21 or any of those ones, it's like now you are learning how to use your brain, to use your consciousness. It would be a little bit like you are driving. People are driving automatic, cars, and so they learn to manual
to shift.
And so now they will be able to use the each gears for specific task.
Mm-hmm. I like the analogy too, because it's a shift. It's like you're shifting, right? Shifting gears, you're shifting consciousness. Yeah. And so now it works with the brain waves. And is there trying to get a specific brain wave to like you're trying to get the thetas or the betas, or
yes, and this is their magic potion secret, where they are layering. Compared to a lot of other companies who are doing already some binaural audios, the Monroe Institute and Hemi-Sync, they have like a magic formula, we'll say, where they are layering. They know how to layer, and it's a lot more often powerful than most of the other one. And I'm not specifically if tomorrow there is something better, I will say, there is something better.
Yeah.
I'm constantly open to look for better and more, but still we always come back to the Hemi-Sync.
Yeah. I mean, I find it quite amazing in the short time that I've used it. I haven't used it in a lot of years, but I did find it very interesting and works much like I hurt my back in 1990 at work when type of work I was doing in BC. I was a trailblazer in the Parks and Rec, and one of the things at the rehabilitation clinic that we went through was biorhythm. And so I understand how biorhythm works. And once you got the little machine in front of you and you relax and you see the numbers go down, and so then you don't need the machine anymore because you know how it works. And I'm thinking that over the years of doing a Hemi-Sync, it's very similar. That maybe in the beginning, you can answer whether this is right or wrong, you need to have the music on or to be able to shift the brain waves. Later on, do you even need it anymore?
No, because from 1 to 21, and even after, actually, even 27 and 35, 42, and 49, for sure, your brain learn. It's like going to the gym to learn a new movement. Your brain will learn the pathways, and then you will be able to repeat them, for sure.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I am so... I've been waiting patiently. You got to admit, I've been very patient. I want to hear some of your experiences, Ray, during your Monroe time, and so come on.
You know what this is teaching me? There's a time to be quiet, and there's a time to talk. And with my guest. What I'm finding amusing is that when George and I are alone, George has a hard time talking. And now with you, but I've also said for you to come into the conversation, and please continue to do that, Alex, because you've explained things that there is no way that I was going to be able to do this for the Monroe Institute. My experience with the Monroe Institute is about as basic as it comes. It goes into the gateway. But it was, for me, it was the most important experience for me and changing for me for my life. I'm going to take this back a little bit, and I'm going to share an experience I had here. In 1977, it was a year before my ordination to the priesthood, and I was in Stead, Manitoba, which is near Grand Beach in north of Winnipeg. And I was out there on weekends with a family that I knew that had a cottage there. And one afternoon, around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it was a sunny day, I walk onto the outside of the cottage, and I'm mesmerized by something I'm seeing across the highway. And I'm just staring at this thing, and the members came out and they said, "Ray, what are you looking at?" And all I said to them was, "Tell me if you see something over there." So they were saying, "Oh my gosh." We were all looking at exactly the same thing and identifying it the same way and speaking about it the same way. In comparison to the size of the trees, this was a humongous craft, a UFO. It was disc shape. It was sort of an orangish color, and along the circumference of the craft were very, very bright lights. Now, myself and one of the children, we ran into the field to go towards the highway, and this craft was on the other side of the highway. As we were running into the field, all of a sudden this craft took off on a 45-degree angle. And then all of a sudden it went off on another 45-degree angle, and as it was going in that direction, it disappeared. Now, we were just left there, and I had heard about things like this, and I had never believed them. And I had a friend at the time, his first name was Larry. He was avid into UFOs. He was always talking about UFOs. And I really didn't want to talk about them because I didn't believe in them, and I really wasn't interested. And so I wasn't going. There was an awful lot of sightings, and CBC at the time was doing a documentary, and people were calling in about all of their experiences and what they had seen, similar and different things. And so there were a lot of sightings at that time. And I wasn't going to say anything because it was a year before my ordination, and I wasn't taking any chances. And also, he wasn't going to say anything, the man of the family, because he was the principal of a school. So both of us were going to keep shut on this one. But as when I went back and I talked to my friend about what I saw, he really got angry with me. He says, "Of all people to see something, you." And so anyway, I said, well, at least I believe in them now. And so that was how that happened. And that was about it. As the years go by, you hear about this and sightings and things like this. And that was it. And I spoke to maybe one or two people about what I had seen. In October, it was in 2012. I was completing my first book, and I had cataract surgery on both eyes. And I'm laying there, and as those of you who have had cataract surgery, you know that you have to put these drops in your eyes and lay still for 20 minutes with your eyes closed. And I'm listening to nice music, and all of a sudden, as George relates to the sound waves, all of a sudden the program is interrupted, and these two men are talking about this experience. And I knew at the time that I could not go any further with these books and the other book that was coming without a spiritual strength that I did not have. I could do meditation, but it was not deep enough. I could, and I was no longer considering myself as a religious person. And I was using Wayne Dyer meditation tapes, and I was using really into Eckhart Tolle and the Presence of Now. So that was my spirituality. But all of a sudden, I'm laying there with these drops in my eyes, and these two men are talking, and all that I could remember from them talking about different things, out of body and remote viewing. They were talking about different types of things. I didn't understand any of it, but what I did, but the things there was somehow or other, I just knew that I had to find out more about this. And I remember hearing Monroe Institute and Sacred Space. Two things, neither of which I've ever heard of before. And so after the 20 minutes, I get up and I Google Monroe Institute, and I'm seeing about all of these different things, and I Google about Sacred Space and find out it's a radio station. And after I get up, the music came back on. So I didn't even know who I was listening to, who these people were, and anything about what they were talking about. That's how I was introduced to Monroe Institute. And as I'm looking, and you do a Google search or a YouTube search, you can find all this information about the Monroe Institute and about different people who have experienced this place and all the things it offered. I knew in 2012 that I needed this experience to go any further. But at the time, I couldn't afford it. It was $2,000, and I was busy with editing and publishing, and I couldn't afford it. So 2 years later, in 2014, I had mentioned to my sister, I says, I can't go on any further. I'm going to need this experience. I just know it. So I was looking at the different dates that they had in different places, and I really wanted to take it in Virginia because that was the place where they had all started, and I wanted the experience there. So it was planned, and you have to plan ahead of time. And one thing that they ask you is not to go with any expectations, although my expectation was that I hoped I could get deeper into meditation. And also, the one thing that they ask all of the people that go there is you have to be able to agree with this one statement. Do you believe that there is more to yourself than the physical body? Do you believe there's more to you than your physical body? They don't say how you're going to interpret that. They don't say you're going to interpret that religiously or that you're going to believe in whatever. Do you believe with the statement? And if you can agree with the statement and you can go there with an open mind, and you meet the other credentials that they ask for, they'll send you a letter whether you're accepted or not. I was accepted, went. And what was amazing about the place, when you first go there, you're meeting people from all over the world. It's a small group, around 20, 25 people. They don't accept more than that because they don't have room for more than that. And when you went into your room, it's a very, very intensive program. It's one thing right after another, and it's very intensive for 6 days. You have absolutely no idea what you're in for, and you're all in the same situation. Some people had taken the program before, and you're in a room, and you have your bed is actually like a little chamber, and you can see that on YouTube or on the Monroe Pro. You can Google, and it'll show you the compartments. It'll show you everything, and it'll even show you interviews with
check unit. It's called
check unit. Thank you very much. Check unit.
Yeah, check
I was about to say capsule, but anyway, check unit sounds much
making
better.
Sure that you're not doing any drugs before you go in.
That's right. That's
journeying.
Right. See why it's a good idea having him here. And so anyway, so we were in the check unit, and it's got a curtain that closes and make the room darker, although there are dimmer switches and different colors, whatever your mood is. And when you're in there and you've got the headphones on, you're laying there, you're ready, you click a switch, and it goes to a main room downstairs where the facilitators see that everybody's ready, and you're ready to go. So anyway, what they do is when you go into a room, you all meet together as a group. They tell you what's going to be happening for this first exercise, and then you all go to your rooms and you get yourselves ready. And when somebody is not ready and they're waiting for somebody, they'll say, waiting for, what you call it? What was it? The name you gave?
The check unit.
Check unit. We're waiting for check unit 7 or 6 or 9. Now still waiting for check unit number 9.
Ray, that's you.
No, I was in check unit number 8. And although they did call me one time. So when we're all ready, they begin the program. You put the headphones on, and the instructions come on, and it is a very gradual thing. So they take you very gradually from one.
So they take everybody at the same time.
Everybody at the same time. You're all experiencing something, but after the experience, you're told to, after the thing, you write down what you can remember, and then you're called to go downstairs, and you meet in a common room, and you share your experiences. What was surprising to me was that absolutely everybody there experienced something different. Mm-hmm. We just went through the same thing,